So what we'll be doing today is we're going to look at the steps. I do that every time. We're going to be looking at the steps, or the sometimes called the phases of mitosis. How many steps did we say there were?
4.
Everybody, how many are there?
4.
4. So we have 4 major stages. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw them and kind of write what happens in each stage, and then we're going to look at a picture of them. We said that the first step is what we call prophase. And basically what happens in prophase is the nuclear membrane. Now, the nuclear membrane, that is around the what? Around the nucleus. So it's what allows stuff to get in and out of the nucleus. It's going to dissolve or disappear. I think dissolve has 2 S's maybe. Is that right? It's going to dissolve or disappear. And the other main thing that's going to happen is the chromatin, which chromatin is the loose form of not RNA, the DNA. So chromatin is the loose form of DNA, is going to condense into, what is the condensed form of DNA? Chromosomes.
Wait, is that condense or codex?
That's supposed to be condense, not codense. Condense into chromosomes. And we can kind of draw a picture of this. I'm just going to draw a picture of a cell. Now, based on the way I drew this, is that a plant or animal cell, you think?
That's an animal.
I'd say that's an animal. Plant cells are usually very rigid because they have that what on the outside?
Cell wall.
Cell wall. So we're going to draw an animal cell doing mitosis. The nucleus is going to start to break down. So I just kind of draw it as a dotted line because it's starting to go away and disappear. And the chromatin is going to condense into these X-shaped chromosomes. So this particular cell has how many chromosomes? 4. Does anybody know how many chromosomes humans have? How many? 46. Very good.
I did last week.
Oh, that's right. So this is the first step, prophase. So the nuclear envelope is disappearing. The chromosomes are starting to form. So the second step we said is metaphase. So if we go to metaphase, are you guys remembering some of this stuff? Yeah.
No, I never learned this.
You didn't? Some of you didn't? Oh, goodness. The only thing that really happens in metaphase is the chromosomes line up in the middle. In the middle of the cell.
What happens if the chromosome doesn't line up in the middle of the cell?
Then the cell will not divide. The cell goes through, we're going to learn later, the cell goes through different checkpoints, and it makes sure that everything is just correct before it divides. So the chromosomes line up in the middle of the cell. And that looks real simple. It looks like, here's our animal cell again. We also sometimes call this the equator. Why would we give it that name?
It's right there in the middle.
Because it's down the middle, just like the equator of the Earth. So sometimes we say they line up at the equator. So they line up in the middle, just like that. And the second thing that happens is this thing we call the spindle fiber forms and attaches to chromosomes. And the spindle fiber is just kind of these protein, they're made of proteins, and they're these little arms that come out and grab onto the chromosomes, because we're eventually going to do what with those chromosomes? Separate them. We're going to pull them to either side. So these are our spindle fibers. The way I remember what happens in metaphase is I associate the M for middle, because the chromosomes go where?
The middle.
To the middle of the cell. It is on there. So we got prophase, then metaphase. What's the third phase?
Anaphase.
Third phase is anaphase. Let me scroll down a little bit.
I think they're a straight line.
Let me use a different color to make it a little more awesome. Anaphase is the third phase. And the only thing that really happens in anaphase is the spindle fibers pull the chromosomes apart. And the way I remember that is A, I think of for apart. Because those chromosomes are going to get pulled apart.
Why are they going to get pulled apart? They just came together.
They came together so they could get pulled apart.
Yeah,
'Cause we're going to have this cell divide into two cells, and each cell needs a set of chromosomes. Each cell needs its own DNA, right?
Yes.
Yes, just say yes. Agree with me.
Yes.
Yes, I'm right.
No. I'm kidding.
Each cell needs its own DNA. So we can draw a picture of this. Here's my cell again. And what did I say these little things are coming out? Spindle fibers. And what they have done is they have pulled those chromosomes so that half of the chromosome is going to each side. So we have our spindle, we have our chromosomes.
They look so unhappy.
The chromosomes look unhappy? They do. They look kind of sad-faced. Poor things. They're about to get really happy, though, because they're about to be a part of their own new cell. Yeah, that's right. Just someday to be separated again. So we have prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and the last one was telophase, or telophase. You can say it either way. And in telophase, the nucleus is going to come back. The chromosomes are going to go back to what?
Staying together.
To chromatin.
Oh.
Oops. Chromosomes become chromatin. And the whole cell starts to divide. We're going to get lots of practice with this before the day's over. Aren't you excited? No?
I'm just fired up about education.
I'm glad you are.
Okay.
All right, so if we wanted to draw this, usually we kind of draw the cell kind of like this because it's starting to be torn in two. Because remember, the whole point of mitosis is cells are reproducing. We're starting with one cell, and we want to wind up with how many? Two cells. And the nucleus is starting to return. But now there's going to be how many nuclei? Two, because there's going to be one for each cell. And the chromosomes are not chromosomes anymore. They've gone back to that loose form, which is chromatin.
And that's DNA, right?
Right.
I still know.
those are the 4 basic steps of mitosis. Now, what happens? Does anybody know what happens after mitosis is over? After telophase, there's cytokinesis. What did you remember that, or did you just look at the book?
No, I was answering questions on the lab sheet.
Oh, okay. Once telophase is complete, we're going to have this process called cytokinesis. Now, notice I didn't give this a number because it's not part of what?
Mitosis.
It's not part of mitosis. And this is just when the cell divides. So, in other words,
Complete.
when we finally wind up with this complete division, and we're going to wind up with 2 brand new cells, and they're going to have different organelles inside them. Obviously, you know, they're going to have vacuoles and whatnot. That kind of looks like eyes, but so we finally have what we call 2 daughter cells, and it's not because they're girls, because cells can't be boys or girls, but it's just because the original cell we call the parent cell, because it gave rise to the daughter cells. Each of these daughter cells is going to go back to what we call interphase. Basically, interphase is the part of a cell's life cycle where it's not dividing. So this is when cells are just doing normal stuff. They're just doing what cells do. They're getting food and they're getting off waste and they're, you know, being cells. And they look normal. So we have just this normal cell and it's got this nice dark spot in it. And what is that? The nucleus. So interphase is what we're used to. When we look at cells, that's what we're used to seeing, is when they're in interphase. The nucleus is nice and solid. Normal stuff. We're going to look at a picture of this, and then I'm going to pull some stuff up on the screen.